So every year, ang nakaprogram po is 2.5 billion. For example, for 2022, ang actual spending is 723 million. So that's about a 28% utilization rate.
Madam
So,
Speaker,
yes.
if I may interrupt, that wasn't my question. My question was, if you recall, during the DICT hearing, sinabi ng Bureau of Treasury that the money with them, as far as they are concerned, is just 4 billion. Pero according to the earmarked revenues natin, ang total balance of the SUF is 21 billion. Pero ang nasa Treasury lang daw is 4B. So nasaan yung 21 minus 4?
Can you open your phone? Open your phone. I want to... Can you open your phone? Yeah, so, the running balance, okay, total remittances as recorded is, since 2018, is 28,451,234,341. Total releases, 13,213,901,467. So the running balance is 15,237,332,874. So there must have been a mistake dun sa 4 billion reported to you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Actually, that was reported to us during
Yes,
the DICT hearing.
I remember. So
Yeah, pero according to the data, it's 20, as of December 2022,
it says 21 billion.
that balance.
Yes, Madam Speaker, that was what I was trying to explain to you earlier. What is reported here in the balance, as I also had discovered when we were trying to reconcile the HEDF fund, is that there are discrepancies between what are printed in the BSF, because as of the time of printing by the DBM, yung date ng printing kasi, anong date ito print?
Pero ang laki ng...
April eh. So, because, or July. So, as of that date, and the time that we have hearings, may discrepancy na.
Madam Speaker, pero hindi siya pwedeng magka-discrepancy because pareho tayo sa total eh. Ang total running balance as of 2022 is 688, 681. Parehas tayo doon ng total eh. At to come up with that total, 21 billion ang balance ng DICT doon. If you recall, you also answered me earlier that the balance as of 2022...
This is 2022, ha?
Yes. You told me that the balance of is 688, 390, 681. At ang DICT doon sa balance na yon is 21, 331, 175.
So, magtatali din tayo kasi ito ay okay. If you subtract, magtatali din tayo kasi from the 28 halimbawa, you subtract ito. Hindi talaga tayo magtatali, Madam Speaker. Ang running balance dito is 10 billion, sorry, 14. Running balance as of December is 14 billion. Pero ang reported here is 21 billion. So may discrepancy ng 7 billion printed. So, maybe we will...
Yun yung, Madam Speaker, kaya tayo nagkagulo nung DICT hearing kasi nga, sa akin naman, ano bang actual deposited? Wala pa tayo doon, ha? Magkano bang nasa Bureau of Treasury? Kung doon pa lang sa balanse, hindi na tayo magkatali, magkano na yung deposited sa Bureau of Treasury kaya for DICT? In the ledger, like you said, we have different ledgers. So in the ledger, how much is in the Bureau of Treasury of the DICT ledger in as far as the spectrum users' fees is concerned?
What are the other releases? What are the other releases? Okay. So, Madam Speaker, so the reason for, I just received info that the discrepancy between what would be printed here in the BSF and what the Bureau of Treasury would have is that hindi kasama sa pag-account ng Treasury dito yung ibang releases ng agency. So, kailangan ng reconciliation, further reconciliation, katulad nung ginawa natin with the HEDF. Okay, so, mas tama siguro
Madam Speaker, is that even acceptable to you,
Mas tama.
Madam Sponsor?
Mas tama ang BSF? So in short, mas correct ang BSF.
Yung 21.
Yes, mas tama itong 21 billion.
Pero Madam Speaker, magkano yung nakadeposito? Kasi kaya ko lang naman ito tinatanong because nanggaling mismo sa Bureau of Treasury na 4 billion na lang ang balanse niya as of her record.
So what is deposited as of today? Ito nakadeposit. Okay, so ang what can be made available by the Treasury for this particular account is 15 billion 237 million 332,874 as I had
So for the meantime,
indicated earlier.
nasaan yung 21 minus 15? Because if the deposited is 15 billion and our balance is 21 billion, asan yung balance ng 21 minus 15? Mahina ako sa math. Magkano yung 21 minus 15? 21 minus 15. 6. Nasaan yung 6? Saan ba muna dumideposit? Siguro, Madam Speaker, para malinawan ko, pag nagpasok ng spectrum users fee si Globe, si Smart, saan po ba dumideposito yun?
So those are still to be reflected because they need BTR certifications which are forthcoming.
So for the meantime, Madam
So,
Speaker,
kumbaga sa cheque in transit pa. So they are in the process of reconciliation.
Madam Speaker,
So what we can do is they can submit a report for the balance of that 6 billion. So right now, DBM should be able to account for that 6 billion. So they're telling us that they have 6 billion worth of releases na wala pang BTR certification. So yan ang isasubmit sa inyo na report.
releases or income? Kasi kung releases, di mababawasan pa yung 15B. Because if you're saying that the balance is 15B and there are releases na unaccounted na 6B,
Yes,
pag
income.
binaynos ko yun,
Income.
income.
Yes.
Okay. Now, saan ba na unang nade-deposito yung iniintrega na SUF? I just really want to understand the earmark revenues. Once nag-remit si Smart si Globe ng SUF, saang account siya pumupunta? Saan siya nade-deposit?
So it goes to the Treasury. It goes to the Treasury.
So if it goes to the Treasury, bakit wala, sorry Madam Speaker, hindi ko alam kung naiintindihan mo yung point ko. If it goes to the Treasury, bakit nawawala yung 6 billion kung nakadeposit lang siya doon?
No, it is...
I mean, bakit di ba,
So-
very simple lang naman ang deposit eh. Pag nag-deposit ka, does it take 1 year to account for it? This is 2022. 2022 revenue is 6 billion. Does it take a year to be reflected in our Bureau of Treasury? Because yung sinasabi nating 6 billion, that's 6.72747 for revenues, actual revenues that came in 2022. So if that was deposited in the Bureau of Treasury, bakit sasabihin niyo sa amin na hindi siya reflected?
Pero it's already
Pero nasa account na nila, pero hindi pa kayo nag-i-issue ng... Why not?
Pero sila ni-recognize.
Kasi, Madam Speaker, Madam
Alright,
Sponsor, 2022 pa to, wala pa po yung 2023.
So what happens is the following. When the cash comes in, we are aggressive in terms of collection. It goes directly to the account of the Treasury, right? So it is there. Aggressive ang DBM sa pag-account, so nandito ka agad sa BSF. However, for some reason, mas mabagal tayo sa pag-certify na medyo mas mabagal si Treasury na mag-certify na nandun na ang pera dun sa account. Therefore, 15 billion lang ang naka-indicate na balance dito sa Treasury. When in fact, it's actually 21 billion.
Wala bang magiging implication yun sa paggamit natin ng pera? I mean, every time we need money. So parang pag hindi mo yun nire-reflect doon, then para tayong laging may kulang?
Well, in a sense, because remember, when we want to, for example, pass a supplemental budget, a requirement is a certification from the Treasury from the Treasurer that funds are available. Right? So kunwari, halimbawa, kinailangan natin, halimbawa ngayon, ng certification that we need 6 billion. Eh, alam naman natin, in reality, na merong 6 billion dyan. However, medyo mabagal tayo at hindi tayo nakapag-issue. Yun ang problema. Right?
Madam Speaker, is this acceptable? 1 year? Kayo,
Yes.
Madam Sponsor, kasi kayo po ang nandyan. I think,
Yes.
ano po ang efficiency level dapat natin doon?
This is something, Madam Speaker, that clearly we need to work on together. Yes, I believe that this is something, yes, there is definitely scope for improvement in terms of operations, Treasury operations.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Kasi we're not even talking about 2023 na may 6 billion na namang papasok. So, Madam Speaker, I'd like to put on record, maybe the DBCC family or DBM or Bureau of Treasury should do something about this kasi cause for panic to sa atin pagka kunwari sasabihin ng Bureau of Treasury, ito na lang ang pera. So pag hihingi ng pera ngayon sa agency, sasabihin, ay wala na kaming pwedeng, because that's precisely what was answered to us. Wala na kaming pwedeng maibigay sa inyo kasi 4 billion na lang ang pera dito. Siyempre tayo bilang mambabatas, paano nagkakaganon when we know for a fact kung ano yung amount na yon. Anyway, okay, nasa earmark pa lang tayo nun, Madam Speaker, but yung po hinihingi ko po sana like last year na how do we now intend to make more use of our earmark revenues kasi sayang po siya. Can I still continue? Pwede pa ba? Okay, can I? Okay, thanks. My next is sa off-budget accounts. Yung off-budget accounts is deposited in each agency, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, either in an authorized depository account or the treasury.
Sino nagmamanage ng off-budget account? Is it per agency or the Bureau of Treasury?
Per agency.
So per agency. So bawat pera nun, ang interest income nun, per agency rin or sa national government?
Again, it goes to the national government based on the Admin Code of 1987.
So pag off-budget, nakadeposit siya sa each account ng each agency. But the interest, pag pumasok doon, i-remit sa national government?
Yes, that is correct.
Honorable Bernadette Herrera, if you can wind up your question. Thank you.
Meron pa naman ako next. Nakapila pa ako ulit sa NEDA and ano, no? Okay, anyway, siguro wind up na lang ako. I would like to ask the opinion of the DBCC family of what they think of the one fund concept. That's why I was just discussing this. Because during the time of President Marcos, siya na yung nagsimula ng one fund concept in a sense, wherein lahat ng mga yan, off-budget, nakakalat, yung off-budget natin is total 133 billion. Earmark revenues natin, 688 billion. Meron tayong mga unused appropriation na 200 billion. So pag pinagsama-sama kasi natin to, just like what President Marcos did, President Ramos did, President Cory did, napapakinabangan kaagad ito into a one fund concept na pwedeng nababawasan yung utang natin. May I know kung anong sentiments of this administration when it comes to that?
Well, yes, the DBCC family expresses strong preference for this one fund concept. Again, this is a way so that they can rationalize, they can better rationalize spending. Ang hirap kasi kung iba-iba ang nagdedesisyon sa paggastos ng pera. So kung 316 tayo dito, 316 ang filosofiya ng paggastos, nalulusaw ang ating economic philosophy, kumbaga. So at least if there's just one fund, madaling ipatupad ang ating medium-term fiscal framework, for example.
So is this something that is being considered right now?
Well, it has always been in place, of course. But then, of course, Congress, they of course always yield to the wisdom of Congress. Every time we pass laws where there's earmarking, and we ask them to appear before us, and we ask them for their opinion, they always politely say, we yield to the wisdom of Congress, even if deep inside them, they, of course, have this preference for the one fund concept.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to put that on record so that my colleagues also would hear that. Because like, katulad yung nangyari niyan, we have 688 billion in earmark revenues, 133 billion in off-budget, then we have GOCCs na nagbibigay ng pondo, then we have unused appropriation. Kung nasa isang pondo siya, mas nababawasan yung inuutang natin sa labas ng bansa eh. So maybe it is something also that we could look at here in the House of Representatives. But anyway, I'll just reserve for the other agencies, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Edsel C. Lagman of the 1st District of Albay to interpolate on the general principles and provisions.
The Honorable Edsel Lagman is recognized for his interpellation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the distinguished lady yield to some clarificatory questions?
Yes, absolutely. It is my honor and privilege, Madam Speaker.
Does the House of Representatives have a policy on the appropriation of confidential and intelligence funds with respect to the agency's entitlement as well as the requisite amount to be appropriated?
No, no, Madam Speaker.
If there is no policy, is there a need to formulate that policy, considering the level of confidential and intelligence funds being requested by government agencies to the tune of about 10.2 billion for 2024?
Well, Madam Speaker, at this point in time, perhaps that can be considered. Ang dami pong nagtatanong sa atin kung ano ba talaga ang dahilan, kung bakit kailangan, kung bakit may mga ahensya na biglang nagsilakihan, ano ba talaga ang patakaran, ano ba talaga ang pamamaraan, kung paano i-audit, kailangan ba mag-submit ng resibo, sino ba dapat ang tumitingin sa mga report, napakarami pong tanong. So, baka po, Madam Speaker, panahon na para i-review ng Kongreso ang mga patakaran pagdating po sa Confidential and Intelligence Fund. So ako, Madam Speaker, it's probably time that we can consider reviewing the policy, Madam Speaker.